guests who joined us since the previous introductions. With us today from the Texas Tech College of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources, we have Mr. Matt Williams. We also have Mr. Paul Montgomery, so we're glad that they joined us this morning for the field day. Our next presenter will present with a topic involving grazing options for rain-fed and reduced irrigation scenarios. We have Dr. Chuck West from Texas Tech University, Department of Plant and Soil Sciences. Dr. West is also a lead team member of the Texas Alliance for Water Conservation. We're glad to have him on the agenda this morning. Dr. West, thank you.
How about this? Is this better? Hear me now? Okay. I don't want to get too close. We have too much feedback here. But most of the talks that you've been hearing over the years have been on row crops, predominantly cotton, in fact. And so I'm going to switch it up a bit. They talk about forages, specifically grazing and pastures. So, and I also want to recognize some of the people that contributed to this over the years. Phil Brown, of course, sitting right here, Paul Bean, at the same table. My predecessor, Dr. Vivian Allen, who was here for like from about 1995 or so, about 2012. And so some of the work that I want to report is the work that she did, and Phil and Paul worked with. And so the overall aim, though, is that we are looking at forages and grazing systems that fit into the cropping system. That is the high plains district here, where we have irrigation, and as you know, of course, some of our wells are going dry or is getting too low to sustain high pumping capacity. And so we think that there are roles for forages to keep that land productive and also profitable. We want to be able to get our forages to feed into cropping systems. So I'll be talking today about why forages are so great about them, and what are some of the options that we see that make sense here. What are some things that work? And also a word about water use efficiency. We're very concerned, of course, about water use efficiency in all of our row crops, and why not about our pastures too? So we can apply the same principles to forage production and cattle production. So, why forages and cattle? Well, as you all know, of course, that this area, this part of Texas, that the native ecosystem here is grassland, short grass earth. And so the soils here have developed under that grassland ecosystem because of course, they have evolved over thousands of years in our system with the low rainfall, low humidity, and sporadic summer rains. And also the perennials. We're most interested in the perennial forages because of their ability to build the soil. We can develop organic matter back up to levels that were experienced under the long-term prairies after they have been degraded by years of tillage. Also, of course, the perennials do a great job at preventing erosion, wind erosion, water erosion, and the very important thing is to build up that soil organic matter. And beef cattle and hay production have maintained good value. Beef prices, now they're not today what they were back in 2015, but they've been pretty steady. And also, there's always a market for good quality hay, a premium market for that. And Texas is a hay deficient area, especially from central to western Texas, and eastern New Mexico, and also Oklahoma. So we can find a good niche market for hay, both for dairy and for horses, of course, and the forages can so that and make some good money. Also, our forages, properly managed, can be produced properly under modest water inputs. This is the part I'll be emphasizing today, is the modest water inputs, less than what we put down on row crops. And in fact, what I call, much reduced irrigation and even some dryland situations. So, So then that means that the whole premise here is that forages and livestock provide a way to transition from row crop irrigation where you are running out of pumping capacity, where you have to maybe merge wells together to irrigate a corn crop or a cotton crop, and that will free up some acres that then can be used in transition. Over the last several years, we have gotten quite a few questions from producers on how do I transition into forages. I've only got enough pumping capacity here to put on maybe let's say 6 inches or so for the next couple of years. I can use that to establish my perennials, because it is risky to establish a perennial grasses. They are slow to establish, and usually have pretty low seed later. But if you got 4 or 6 inches available for the next couple of years to establish, then move to dry land. That is a very good use of allocating that scarce water. So, but to make this work, I want to underline the word high quality here, because we cannot really get the best use, the best conversion of what little water we have to profitable hay production or profitable cattle production unless it's foraged at high quality, or as better quality as we can get out of that particular species. The various forages we look at vary in quality. Some are just medium quality at best, and some can be super quality, which you will see. Okay, so what's the beef production chain? This is a little refresher for people who have not been in the beef production business for a while. And of course, we have a cow-calf production. This is our rangeland. This is the dry land. We have extensive acres, of course, across Texas and the western Union for cow-calf production. And these systems that we're talking about grazing extensive rangeland, extensive grasslands. They're not irrigated, and mostly native species. There are some introduced species included there too. And also crop residues. For part of the year, some of the cow-calf operations are actually run on some crop residue. It could be sorghum, seed crop, it could be corn stalks. Stocker production. This is where then the weaned calves are put on pasture, and to put a couple hundred pounds of weight on them to get them ready for the feedlot. And in the stocker production, then you're talking about mostly grazing introduced forages, improved forages, some annuals and subperennials, and of course the high-grain feedlot diets. We're going to be talking about the stocker production phase here. This is how we do our research, because it's just easier for one thing, but also the results we get, we can apply back to all the other phases here, and even to dairy production. The stocker phase for beef production is also analogous to heifer development for dairy production. So, the big question that we ask ourselves here is it possible to strategically integrate high-quality forages without increasing our extraction of water? How can we use that water most efficiently where we have less of it? Okay, right here on this slide, I'm going to summarize briefly some work done by my predecessor, Dr. Allen, and this, of course, with Phil and Paul, and also Rick was around, did a lot of good advice on that too, where there's a 10-year trial comparing a cotton system where you had cotton in the whole crop rotation in half the land area. This is continuous cotton, year after year after year, for 10 years, for half the year. And then there was wheat or rye cover crop, which got grazed part of the time. That was compared to a system where, again, we had wheat and rye, but instead of cotton, we had the perennial grass, old world bluestem. The old world bluestem, which was grazed for cattle. And over the 10 years, on the average, it found that there was a 25% less irrigation was needed in the integrated crop livestock system, and 40% less nitrogen fertilizer. Okay, so this constituted very major cost reductions. Also, there were significant increases in the soil organic matter, much less wind erosion, and so all the indicators of the soil health were improved. And it's hard to put a dollar value on that, but those measurements were definitely there. Over the 10 years, the profitability turned out to be about the same between the two systems. So there is a role for forages in irrigating, and we're not talking about replacing cotton. Okay? We're not talking about turning over the whole agriculture to this. But there's places where forages can fit in to help irrigate those. So first I want to talk a little bit more about this old world blue stem, especially this variety called WWE doll. Many of you have heard it, we call it doll for short. And this is a low water use, a very low water use grass. And especially if you consider how much it can produce. It's late flowering. By flowering I mean elongation of stems, getting tall, and then putting out seed heads. And compared to the other old world blue stems, it is later. Instead of flowering in, let's say, early to mid-June, like a Caucasian or a spar, it will flower in mid-July. This year, it took August before it started flowering. So depending on how much water it gets, how much nitrogen it gets, how hard you raise it, we can delay that stem production a lot. The big advantage there is that they stay leafy during most of the summer. And of course, the leaves are where you have the better quality forage. It can support pretty decent gains in cattle. I say here 2.5 pounds to 1.5. I'm sort of going backwards, aren't I? The reason for that is that in the springtime, we have gotten in the past up to 2.5 pounds a day of average daily gain on steers. That is pretty darn good. But by going to summer, that will drop down. So by late summer, it's down to about 1.5, sometimes even lower than that, depending on how steady it is. So those are pretty decent gains for a grass that does not hold a lot of water. It also has some advantages in terms of insects. It deters two types of ants, which can be problems: fire ants and also harvester ants. We all know about fire ants. At least, where I come from in Arkansas, they call it your legs, they sting. All right, but they can also bother cattle. Harvester ants actually go underground and eat the roots. And they will leave huge circles of dead areas in the pasture. They can be 5 to 6 feet across in diameter. And that is lost production. In this, in the dull pastures, we get none of those ants. There's also research done by Christian, who's sitting right over there. And so we get very good protection. And even where we have alfalfa growing in that same pasture with the doll, no ants. And so we don't get those big dead zones and there are no fire ants. Alfalfa. Are we talking about alfalfa? We like to see use alfalfa varieties that have excellent persistence. Not necessarily the highest yielding ones, but ones that will persist under continuous grazing with very little rest periods, if any, and also dry conditions, and that can tolerate a low water input. This is interesting, I think. In fact, I like to make a big deal out of this because alfalfa is notorious, all right? It's got a bad reputation for being a big water user. And this is why we don't grow so much around here. But the kind of alfalfa that people think about when you say it is a solid stand, a lot of irrigation, getting multiple cuttings of hay, 4, 5, 6 cuttings of hay, and pure stands, and very high input, very high yield. Okay, but if you don't have the water, you just can't do it. Alfalfa actually originated in the Middle East, where it was very dry, and it puts down great ecosystems. And there are types of alfalfa that will persist in these dryland areas, not at high density, but a low density. But they can persist and go during the summer if it's dry, and we want to take advantage of that trait and put alfalfa back into our systems. Okay, we use it in mixture with the dog, and also as a protein bank, which I'll explain in a couple minutes. So the alfalfa, under the very low water inputs, and also the fact that we don't have to put nitrogen fertilizer on it, can boost the forage yield and boost tremendously the forage quality. And we're also going to be looking at the water balance in grown with native grasses under dryland situation. Teff. I would say just a couple words about teff. And this is an annual grass. It's a summer annual, so you do the spring planting. It's a very fine leaf, fine stem, very fine textured grass. Doesn't get very tall. It's not like sorghum. It gets about knee high the most. And it makes a very high quality hay and very good grazing. But this is one that we have found is not reliable in the rain-fed situations. You really need to have some irrigation to have reliable crop yields. But what's interesting about it, though, is that even under rain-fed, as dryland, If we have a very dry several weeks or a couple of months in the summertime like we just recently had, it'll look dead. But it'll come back with the rain. You can get like a half-inch rain on it, all of a sudden it just shoots up green shoots again. And this is an annual. This is not normal for an annual. Usually they just die off. And so this is one that is sporadic but we don't have irrigation. Native grasses, of course, are native here. They're persistent and rain-fed. Okay, about this doll again. Under 10 inches, with 10 inches of irrigation. So this is 10 inches of irrigation in the summertime on top of the normal 12 inches we get from May through September. Okay? That we can get about 1.5 tons per acre of hay. And this is dry land, I'm sorry. With 10 inches, we get about 3.5 tons per acre. So we can go from 1.5 to 3.5 just with those 10 inches. Stocker gains about 100 pounds per acre. This is the total weight gain per acre. If you add up all the cattle on an acre basis during a about 100 to 120 day grazing season, plus a ton of acre of hay. And we've done this year after year. We get 100 pounds of weight gain, and we can take a mid-season, a midsummer hay crop off of it, and about a ton per acre. And that's with 8 inches of irrigation. So we try not to put any more than 9 on. If you average over our wet summers and our dry summers, we average around 8 inches. And this is a pretty good gain for that low amount of water. Some years we can get a seed harvest off of it. Okay? And we can manage for that if we want to. We have to come back in late summer and add some more water, some more nitrogen, take the cattle off, and sometime around late October or so, we can harvest seed off of it. And that seed doesn't yield very much, but it's very valuable. And also stockpiling. It's a very flexible plant in that we can get some good grazing during the summertime, stockpile that during the late summer, early fall for fall and winter grazing. And this is a bunch grass that can get a couple of feet in diameter. And this is Paul, by the way. He's sitting right there. That's him. That's his tape measure. Okay, I mentioned the stockpiling. This picture was taken still window, probably around November, I'm guessing. Okay, and on the right side we have dull residue after the seed harvest. You can see the tracks of the tractor that went through the seed harvest, and this is what's left over. So even taking the seed harvest, you're left with a tremendous amount of stockpiled forage out there. A lot of leaves that can be grazed. And on the left side we have rye. And so the cattle now are actually walking back and forth between the rye and the stockpiled dull. So the rye is a source of protein, and it's a protein bank, so it's a very high protein source. And then we have a lot of cellulose here that this protein plus this cellulose will provide the diet. And so what is a protein bank? All right, it's been referred a lot around this area as limit grazing. That is, you have a very high protein type of forage, and you're limiting the access to them. You're not grazing it maybe every day of the week, or they may be supplemented with some hay. But I call this protein bank where you have some small acreage, some portion of the field, or some portion of a pivot, or some small field right adjacent to a main pasture that is grazed in rotation with a larger acreage of lower quality forage, low protein forage, like you saw in the previous picture. That was the rye, wheat, and the dormant warm season grass. Okay, so another one that we're looking at is alfalfa as a protein bank. That is, we have some small acreage of a very high alfalfa content pasture. Small acreage where we can really manage it. If we need to manage for insects, we can. We can give it that extra a couple inches of water if we need to. So that's small acreage, and then a large acreage of dry land or very low irrigated pasture next to it. In this situation, we are averaging about 1 to 2 days per week where the cattle are moving in there. Then the rest of the time they are on either a native pasture or some dull alfalfa mixture. And now, a few words about alfalfa. And that is as a grazing legume. Here I am trying to get away now from that idea that we were growing up with of alfalfa being a very large, pure stand, getting a lot of water and lots of cuttings for hay. That's an expensive way to produce forage, although it's expensive in terms of water. As a grazing legume, we're looking at very low input, more extensive and lower density plantings. We also, the fact that it's a legume fixes nitrogen, we can omit the fertilization of nitrogen. That's a big savings right there. It boosts forage quality and yield. But the question is, though, it is true that alfalfa uses more water than grasses, especially the native grasses. That is true. Okay, so this is, you think of this as some level of investment in that better quality. This is Phil right here on the back here, and he is interseeding alfalfa into native grasses. This is in 4th of October. This is the 4th of October 2 years ago. And so we've already had frost damage. We had a dry summer, pretty much burned off, dried off all the grass. We're interseeding alfalfa in there. Now, I'm going to show you this little scheme here, which is a blow-up of what we've been practicing out at the New Deal farm, of how we use integrating different forages in this grazing system. Think of 100 acres. This whole rectangle is 100 acres, let's say. And I blow this up to that size so you can picture it better. You actually have smaller acres with the same proportion. Half the 100 acres is in dal with alfalfa, but 85% grass and 15% alfalfa. So it's a very low content of alfalfa. However, even after 5 or 6 years after planting the alfalfa, it was still at the 15%. So that alfalfa surprisingly lasted a long time. Now it got an average of 8, no more than 9 inches of water by irrigation. Next to that we have the protein bank, alfalfa. 90% alfalfa and a little bit of tall wheatgrass. A little bit of tall wheatgrass. And then we have a small acreage here of teff. We're mainly trying to check it out. So the new grass for us, kind of see this work, how it developed. So we just had a small acreage of that. And then we have 23 acres of native grasses. This is an example of where you have a more limited acreage of a very high alfalfa protein bank. You've got your large acreage of some alfalfa, but mostly grass. And native grass is non-irrigated. This is the dryland part. The cattle spent about 65% of their time in the dal alfalfa mixture, 20% of their time in the protein bank, a little time in the teff, and about 10% of their time in the native grass pasture. So here you see the split, both in acreage and in time, how we use that system. This is what the dal alfalfa pasture looked like. You see the darker green plants here? That's the alfalfa. And the lighter green one is the dal. So you see that it is spaced out, fairly sparsely, but that 15% was enough to really get some good gains on it. The alfalfa, the grass, by the way, looks pretty yellow, doesn't it? It's because we applied no nitrogen fertilizer on there. You're depending on the alfalfa as a source of nitrogen into that system and the source of protein. Oh, I'll point out to you, see that little, right here, there's a couple of plants with yellow flowers on them. There's another one, here's a few yellow flowers. That's yellow sweet clover. And we like this idea. When we do the alfalfa, we also mix in some yellow sweet clover seed because it's very fast at establishing. There's very good seed and vigor. That first year, you can see a lot of the sweet clover and not a whole lot of alfalfa. Then the sweet clover dies out and the alfalfa becomes better developed. Close up more of the alfalfa going to the dal. Notice that the alfalfa got pretty mature. There are pods, there are seed pods on that alfalfa because they catch rays, some of it gets away, especially in May when we have a lot of rain. But that's okay because that part of this plant, which is pretty mature, is still a whole lot higher quality, more digestible, more proteins than the grass. This is the protein bank. These are cattle spending 1 or 2 days in the protein bank grazing an almost pure alfalfa. Now we did provide a goat guard, did not have a goat, but actually I don't think we need one because they spend most of their time with this coarse grass. They're going into this protein bank with a lot of very coarse grass, coarse fiber in the lumen already. There'll be very low risk of loss here. Okay, so what happened to the data? Very quickly walk through this here. It's alfalfa grass system that contained the protein bank plus the doll alfalfa mixture. And we had another treatment where it's the same forages but no alfalfa at all. Okay? No alfalfa, just grasses only. And that we did fertilize with nitrogen, 60 pounds per acre. Look at average daily gain. 2.1 where you had alfalfa versus 1.7 without alfalfa. So it went up by 0.4 of a pound. Gain per acre. So that is huge. Aggregate all those gains together by all those heads over the course of the grazing season. 168, oops, go back. 168 pounds versus 105. So it's a big bump here, about 50% increase in gain per acre. And protein content. Let's look at the quality. We all like to think about protein. We had twice the protein concentration in this whole system. This system average, by the way, included the mixture, the grass, the alfalfa, everything. So it wasn't just the protein of the forage of the alfalfa, but that was about 20%. All right, it's the whole system, about 14, plenty enough to support very good average daily gain in steers. That's plenty high for that. 7% in the grass only is barely enough for rumen function. Barely supports rumen function. Irrigation. Almost 9 inches on the mixture, about 8 inches on the grass only. Because it took a little bit more water than to keep the system going. But now this ratio, this number right here is interesting. This is the water use. This is irrigation water, both for irrigating the crop and for the drinking water for the animals. This is all pumped water. The amount of water we pumped to produce 1 pound of weight gain for the cattle was 364 gallons per pound. It takes a lot of water to produce a pound of gain, doesn't it? Versus 500 gallons to produce a pound of gain where we had no alfalfa. So even though we had to add a little bit more irrigation, our use of the water, the efficiency, was so much better. It took less water to produce that pound of gain. So why? That's our quiz for today. What happened here? It's because of the high quality. Look at this protein. I didn't show you the TDN energy values, they are also much higher. Because this high quality alfalfa makes all the other inputs more efficient. Because quality was the limiting factor where you did not have alfalfa. You know that when you remove the most limiting factor of a system, the whole system gets more productive, right? This is exactly what happened here. All right, today, this summer and last summer, we're doing another trial which is similar. But this time we have only the doll or doll with alfalfa. Okay, we don't have the natives in there, we don't have the teff in there, right? No protein in it. Just try to keep it simple this time. And so far, last year, we got 2.6 pounds per day on the mixture, 2.4 on the doll alone. Not much difference. In fact, this doll alone really surprises us, over 2 pounds per day. This year, so far, we're getting 3.5 pounds per day, per head, on the mixture, and again, 2.4. And we actually have more alfalfa because this is an older, better adult stand. So it's amazing what that alfalfa can do. So including legumes increase the stocker gains quite a bit on a per day basis and a per animal basis. Even though it took us slightly more water to run it. Okay, now let's go back to the native grasses here. This is a dryland situation now. Okay, so here's Phil again, still planting. Got his fill out done. Is there a trade-off? We know from previous experience that alfalfa does need more water. If you're going to be adding alfalfa to a grass system, we predict it's going to take a bit more water to grow it. But we know that we can get so much higher quality. What is that trade-off level? Where do we put just the right amount of alfalfa in there to boost production, but not take up so much more water? Okay, so this system here, we had 3 varieties of alfalfa. 2 what I call hay types, or upright types. These are kinds used by to produce hay. This first one is called New Mexico Melton. It is actually bred by New Mexico State University. A very excellent variety was developed specifically for lower water situations because where they irrigate with the Rio Grande in that valley, there's not as much water coming down the river. So they're trying to breed for low water input. WL440HQ. This is a widely used, very popular variety, which we found actually in pastures. This is a blend of Falcata rhizoma. Some of you have heard of Falcata. Okay, that is a real low-growing, spreading prostrate type that's got very high cold tolerance. It doesn't grow very much, but this is more of a grazing type, and so this rhizoma is also that way too. 2 row spacings. Instead of planting on 7-inch rows, we planted on either 14-inch rows, we call it high density, or 28-inch rows, a low density. Because my thinking here is that our ideal amount of alfalfa is some low density, okay? That we can not compete too much with the grass for water, but have just enough in there to boost that growth. So that's why we have the 14-inch, this high density, 28-inch low density, and of course we had some where we had no alfalfa at all, just grass alone. Okay, this is what the grasses look like. We had green springle top, Cytox grama, buffalo grass, and blue grama. And then this is the mixture where you have the alfalfa going with that. And this looks like this may be the 14-inch rows. Now here's another look now at our treatments. We had grass alone. This is the native grass mixture right here. Here is the 28-inch row spacing. Nice big gaps between the rows. So this is pretty low density, not competing too much with the grass. This is the 14-inch rows. So we have double the amount of plant. In the 28-inch rows, we planted about 7 pounds per acre of seed. Okay, so you figure if the seed costs $4 or $5 a pound, you're looking at $30, $35 per acre. And of course, we had double the seed on the 14-inch rows. Okay, and that's about 14 pounds per acre of seed. Now, that was that was like a year after planting. Toward the end in 2018, you see that the 28-inch rows have not thinned. They have thinned some, but they still maintain pretty decent row integrity. The high density ones have thinned a lot. In fact, what happened at the end of 3 years is that the number of plants per square foot was about 2 plants, about 1 plant per 2 square feet at the end of 3 years were the same between these 2 treatments. So it didn't really pay to plant at the high density, did it? Because we get this natural loss of density anyway, and then it stabilizes. And they stabilize at the same level of about 1 plant per 2 square feet. Okay, what happens with soil water? If you look on the left side first on this table, in the top 16 inches of soil, the water content was a bit lower in the 14-inch spacing compared to 28, and the control was the same. At deeper depths, 16 to 40 inches, we had the lowest water content where we had the most dense, the highest in the control. So, but the 28 was intermediate. This shows that the 28-inch does take up more water than it controls. And that happened in 2018 as well. 28-inch was intermediate in the water uptake. This graph on the right, which looks real colorful and decorative and sort of psychedelic, actually these colors tell us about how much water it was in the soil. Here's the high density 14-inch one, 28-inch, and no alfalfa in the bottom. The bluer it is, the more water there is. Okay? Blue means wet, and red and orange means dry. And you can see that where we had high density planting, we had a lot of dry areas in that soil profile over time. This is depth, this is time. And the 20 was intermediate, and the control had no water. Alfalfa was very effective. Look at this depth here. It had sucking the water out of the deep soil profile. It really took a lot of water. This is where it mined a lot of soil. Got its water. A lot of those grasses were not putting roots down that deep. So the alfalfa was able to get down where there wasn't much grass. Okay, so really I'll walk you through this one again. You have our row spacing here. First of all, no alfalfa. This is just business as usual. This grass is only. 28-inch, this is low density. 14-inch, high density. Forage yield. It went from 2,200 pounds per acre. This is average over 3 years. It went up way up to 29. And then it went up a little bit more by doubling the seeding rate. So this doubling of seeding rate, 20 to 40 inches, gave us only a very small increase in yield. Digestible energy content. Think of this as TDN, if you know what TDN is. This is digestible energy content. 62% the grass alone. It bumped up to 68, and then it went up a little bit more to 71. 68 is plenty good. Put on very good weight gains on these cattle. That's considered very good. Protein. No alfalfa, 80%. We're at the borderline of rumen function, folks. You add some alfalfa, it bumps up to 13%. It only takes 12.5% crude protein to put on a couple of pounds a day on steers. We are at that. You can support good gains at 13%. And then the 14%, a little bit more. Soil water depletion, 7 inches. Okay, this is where we actually summed up the soil water depletion over the year, average over 2 years. 8 inches with the narrow rows, with the wide rows. And it bumped up to 10 inches. So we got the more alfalfa, the more soil water depletion. As you'd expect, it's still not much different from the info. Here again, I'm looking at this ratio of water use. How much water was used to produce, this time, not beef gain, but forage? No alfalfa, it took 290 gallons of water of ET. This is water of evapotranspiration, not irrigation, because there was no irrigation. 290 gallons to produce 1 pound of forage primary. You add alfalfa, 240, it dropped 50 gallons by adding alfalfa to produce an pound of forage. And we got dropped even more, a little bit more. So what happened there is that low density alfalfa was enough to greatly boost yield and quality. High density boosted yield and quality only a little bit more, but took more water. So I think we're finding this happy medium, where we're using sparse alfalfa to get a real, pushing the system, but not pushing the water use. Okay, so in summary, the feed-off seems to be our best option for perennial warm-season grasses in the high plains of west Texas here, under low irrigation for stock production. Alfalfa is our best legume option we have. We look at several over the years. This is by far the best one for length of season and persistence under low input irrigated stock production, and when grown as a minority component of the grass, not a high. And even a persistent high yield, a hay-type alfalfa, a very good persistent hay-yield alfalfa would be a good option to put into very low irrigated pastures on your good water holding pasture soils. Okay, folks, that is it. Here's our trend of the yellow sweet clover and our spin number 82, who is our most photogenic steer we ever had. Any questions, please?
You're talking about the protein, but what about other alternatives? For instance, protein
the question is about a protein bank.
If you had grass fed, and then you have some bit of concentrated alfalfa or something like that, having some ground solid might start with a really high protein, using that.
Okay, you mentioned sunham, which is an annual legume. We just planted some about 2 weeks ago, and rain brought it up, and a week later the rabbits ate all the tops off it. Gone. It looked like it was going to be pretty great, but it's gone. That is one that gives us that quite a bit in the states where they have more of the humid, higher rainfall areas. And so we want to take a look at it. But in any case, you're going to need to fence off that protein bank. You have to limit access to, like we did the alfalfa. Okay? And so we would go in with a pretty high stocking density. And even then, we partitioned, we would actually, strip graze that. Not small strips, but like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 each week. And so they took it down very uniformly, very nicely. So some had to work, but it's an annual, you guys can see every year. Our alfalfa in that protein bank lasted 8 years. It's pretty darn good for alfalfa. I think I'm running out of time. Oh, great.